All right, going to be starting off our first episode of PB&J for Adults. First off, going to tell everybody who everyone is. We have Frank Koska from Bay Area Pond. How's it going, Frank, today?
Very good, thank you.
All right, and next up we have Mr. Problem, the Devil's Advocate, The Root, Omari, Akia.
Hello.
And in the end, we have Ray Stevens. How are you doing today?
Very good.
All right. We're going to go ahead and jump into our first topic, which is politics. And we're going to be talking a lot about the difference between the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, and of course, the upcoming election, and so forth and so on. So first, I'm going to start off by asking Frank. Frank, what are some things that you believe in about your party, the platform, and what it stands for? Go ahead.
I think you're atypical, smaller government, less taxes, self-reliance, your basic values that you see publicized all the time for not only the Republican Party, but I think conservative values.
Okay. Okay. Well, what about you, Ray? What do you think about the Democratic Party? What are some things that stand out? Why you believe in the people there?
I like the, let's see, the way we're going in the direction we're going in right now. I think it's that things are getting better. They were worse before. I think they're getting better, but we're still at a very critical point right now. And if things aren't done properly, especially with the European problems right now, we're going to be in big trouble. So I'll just leave it at that for now.
Okay. And what would you guys say if I was to say Obama would get back in? Could you say that would be a positive thing, and why? Go ahead, and we'll start with Frank.
I think it would be a negative thing.
Okay.
Because I personally don't think that this administration has done that much for our employment situation. We're sitting, our employment sitting, what is it, 9.1%, and we dug ourselves another how many $1 trillion in debt. And we just got not enough people paying the taxes to eventually that's got to be paid for. And that really worries me. And I don't see anything on the horizon where things are going to change under this administration. And we just haven't heard enough about the opponents yet as far as where they stand. Other than I do like some of the Republican issues as far as looking at a new tax structure. And I think that would be helpful for the whole country.
Okay. And Ray, what do you think?
Oh yeah, new tax structure would be great. I think as long as it creates more revenue. But I think that the way that the debt is right now, the only way it's going to get paid off is if people pay into it. And I think we should actually invest more in getting jobs going at this point. Because if we keep taking jobs away and reducing the size of everything and making things leaner, we're never going to get more money in the economy. The whole thing is to put more money into the economy and got to put money in the people's hands, because they're the ones that spend the money and get the factories going. If people aren't spending money, the factories are never going to go. You can have big business, all the money in the world, but if people aren't buying things, they're never going to go anywhere. That money's going in their pockets and it's being bought. They're buying their own stock with the money right now.
The Root. Let's hear what you have to say about this issue.
Well, I typically don't follow anything at this point in time. I've been trying to get myself in, but it's nice to be able to juggle perspectives and really get an idea. A lot of the things, name being the root, is trying to get to the root of everything as opposed to just particularly staying on the surface. In this case, for taxes, the root of taxes, well, obviously we're talking about money and getting the economy going. But all of that is still, in my opinion, very superficial in the sense of what can an individual do to actually achieve things outside of money or outside of things that we place monetary value on. It's not to deny those structures that are in place, but as Frank, as you had said, with the rise of taxes, you can't keep going with the debt. It's just going to keep going. You're going to have to pay it off at some point in time. So where do you put that stopping point down, and how do you stop it without, what do you call it, defining what actually is, you know, stability.
And Mr. Problem, how do you see things?
Well, I think that one of the main problems with our government is the self-purpose that with the tax revenues that they do get, with the taxes that we're giving them, they're spending a lot of things on frivolous stuff. I mean, like when you're a president and you retire, you get like 150 grand every year for the rest of your life. And we're in debt in the first place, and so do we really have that much money to spend on all these other presidents that are all retiring?
Okay, I hate to move on here, but we do have to do so. We're going to talk a little bit about the conceal and carry law, which recently just got passed here in Wisconsin, and will be going into effect sometime in November, as I understand. So recently, Ray and I were talking about this, and he had some pretty interesting issues that he had with the bill. So why don't you go ahead and start off, Ray, with what you were saying?
Well, I'd like to start out that I guess we're there's only 7 other states that don't have it right now, which I was kind of surprised to find out. But I was kind of concerned about it because I don't think a lot of people have the gun safety knowledge to keep themselves from shooting themselves, number one. And I think a lot of people do, and I think a lot of people don't. I know people that are unfamiliar with handguns and think that they're not that dangerous. I have like 30 guns myself. I have a couple of revolvers. I hardly ever use revolvers, and I respect them a lot because they're very dangerous. Easy to shoot yourself with, easy to shoot someone else with the thing. Better more than a rifle. And the other thing is that most of the guys that are going for the concealed carry licenses are pretty much the hotheads who think they need a gun. I've never really had, I've been a lot of places in the world, but I've never really had to have a gun. And my view on it is pepper spray works better than a gun. You can use it, I'll use it all west for grizzly bears, and if it'll stop a grizzly bear, it'll stop a person. So I'll leave it there and let someone else talk.
Okay, go ahead, Frank. What do you think?
I don't know if I want to get close enough to a grizzly bear to spray pepper spray. My thing is, one correction is that there's only one state that doesn't have some sort of concealed carry, and that's Illinois. Every other state has some sort of concealed carry. They might be a lot limited and restrictive, but there's only one state, and that's Illinois, that does not have a concealed carry. Another thing is, especially up here, there's a lot of people that have ATVs. They go hunting in the woods, and one thing they like to do is they want to be able to carry a gun maybe on their ATV, or like truckers carrying a gun for self-protection in a truck. And the other thing is, there is training. The training is one of the requirements that you have to take to get a concealed carry. It's mandatory. When you make your application for the concealed carry, you have to also provide that you have had training, whether it's a hunter safety course or a specific concealed carry course, or you could put in that you've had training in the military also. But you have to show that you've had some training in order to get the concealed carry. And they also do a background check on you to make sure that you're not a felon. So they're not going to arbitrarily give it to just anybody and everybody.